Hey guys, thank you for tuning back in today with another gameplay. Today we have a interesting one. We have a super fun one. I got Mr. Alex Bradbury himself joining me today. How's it going, man?
I am so keen for this.
Today we got a best of three gameplay instead of a best of one between me and Alex here. Alex called me out to a challenge because I ditched Magellan. I didn't think he was the best.
It was totally unreasonable to suggest that Magellan is anything other than top tier.
So I accepted the man's challenge, and here we are getting ready. We're playing. It looks like we're doing turn one here, and we're kicking things off. Yeah, it looks
So
it was a really
I
interesting
don't
game.
remember. Do you remember who won the dice roll for this one?
I believe you did because you got the
Mm,
Don one there, so just straight away
mm.
kicked off. Yeah, it looks like Alex got the first turn, and looks like I was searching for the EZOs here. Sorry, the white bids because I hit down an EZO. But yeah, like look, this is a super fun game. We got into it and we thought we'll give the public a little bit of a fun best of three instead of a best of one
Mhm,
to see who
mhm.
can take it between Magellan and Ace. And look, I've been loving Ace lately. It's been doing pretty well. Utilizing all those event cards, stage cards, and all that to my advantage, and seeing what it can do. But yeah, it looks like
I
you.
was really expecting you to play Whitebeard for this event because you've been playing Whitebeard a fair bit recently and doing quite well with it. And I have
Yeah,
to admit, I won't lie, I made a couple of deck decisions for the Whitebeard match as opposed to the Ace match. So when you turned up with Ace, I had to rethink a couple of things.
kind of got you from surprise a little bit.
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
So it looks like you dumped a what's this? What was it? A
It's a
three
Minnow
cost
Rhinoceros. So
rhinoceros.
uh, it's one of the new Impel Down cards in OPO3.
Yep.
It's really quite good in the Magellan deck now. So previously Magellan had an issue where on your 3 Don turn you only had little Sardias at play and that was it.
Okay.
Minnow Rhinoceros gives you a really good alternate option. It's a 3 cost 5k no counter, but on death, when in Magellan you get a queen effect, you draw 2 trash 1.
Yeah, that was
Um,
see, that was a huge effect because I was like going, oh no, now I'm gonna play around this because I don't know if I want to make you plus if I was gonna kill it. So
mm,
it was definitely a card that I was just like, oh, okay. But this is where I think I was thinking about hitting down the Fire Fist. Yeah, it looks like I went down for the Fire Fist anyway, was
mm.
it? Yeah, dropped the Seaquake and got rid of them both. But that's where you just
So,
simply plussed from that, you see.
mm. So did you have any expectations coming into this one
Look, I
against Magellan?
I was I was I was thinking about the matchup during the last few days, and I was like, oh, look, it's a very like from what I've seen, it's more like a what more of a control sort of deck, that plays to your advantage, kind of like punishing your opponent through their Don, which you're doing right here with a Magellan to me. And also that like I didn't know really what to expect with your sort of build because I know you kind of got
Mm.
those different sort of takes on Magellan because you've been playing it for quite some time now,
Uh,
and I
yeah, I
so
played it
that's
all of set two, and
yep, yep,
uh, this is slightly different to my usual. Previously I played with things like 8 cost Douglas Bullet and whatnot, and that wasn't in this match. Um, Something the eagle-eyed may notice is that whenever my hand becomes available, I
mm,
had zero counter in hand. I had, I think, 2 Hell's Judgment, and then everything else was like Magellans and Cardo and the like. So I remember at this stage of the game that I was really worried about you just going aggressive at me. But I
yeah,
also think it meant I only had the one line to be aggressive back.
yeah, and that's where I was looking at. I was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to, I don't know what you're going to be like on the clapback. So I was a little bit conservative a little bit there. Like that's why I was kind of building board a little bit more. I wasn't going as aggressive and kind of seeing which way you were going to play it in order for me on how it dictated what I wanted to do. And I
Mm.
think I just needed
Mm.
to kind of do one thing and just kind of go more aggressive. But in these sort of situations, you don't really know completely, and it gets a little bit tricky. You know what I mean? Like,
But
so
isn't that one of the best things about a best of three?
yeah, that's it. That's it. So yeah, this is where you double Magellan me. I think it was
Mm.
literally like what 3 or 4 turns where you kept me around the 6 Don mark, and it
Yeah.
was wild. Like yeah, I couldn't build up to my Whitebeard or anything, and you were causing that pressure too on me. You
I
see, I
think your
took another
next turn
life.
here, from memory, was a fairly important one for you because I think, if I remember correctly, you were deciding whether you needed to clear board
Mm,
or not. So what were
yeah,
you thinking here?
I think
Do you
this was the
remember?
part where I was like, do I kind of like um, build board? Establish a little bit more board and keep a certain amount of Don open for a defense because I had a Marco blocker in hand, as you can see there. I was at 2 life, and I was like, do I kind of just sit back, defend a little bit, um, and see where that goes? But I was just too concerned with the 2 Magellans you were starting to build, and I knew I had to kind of take that sacrifice with the Don if I went into them. So it was definitely a tough decision to make. That's why I took a bit to kind of like decide on which way I wanted to go. See, like you see there, I was about to drop the block of Marco. And I'm like, nah, we'll just swing into leader and see how this goes. See if we can just force a card from hand, which you chose to take,
Mm.
and you
Mm.
got a trigger effect off it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So, for those that don't know, Judgment of Hell has a trigger effect. When you've got six or more Don, you can trigger it to make your Don make your opponent send a Don back to the Don deck.
Now that
So,
was huge. You got me down to 5 Don from 6, and they were all active.
yeah, it's always impactful when it's active.
Yeah, so that's where I was like, nah, I got to go for the defense now. So I smacked down the Marco blocker, chucked another Ezo down for a search because this is where I was going for more of like a, I want to try and find another event card. Um, we got the Whitebeard, which to be honest, I don't know why I chose the Whitebeard because I
Yeah.
saw the Five Fist then, um, and I think at that point I was like, "Ugh, I don't know if I'm going to clear your Magellans just yet, and I think I'll try and you know see if I can build up my Don.
Mm.
But
Mm.
you were really on top of punishing me here with your effects on my Don, and I was just like I was really behind, and I was just thinking, oh no, okay, we got to set up for a defense and see where we can go with this.
Yeah, because I only had one line, I kind of just had to commit to it wholly.
Yeah.
Um, and that was kill you before you killed me, um, which I know is the normal way that you play a game. But
Yeah.
I think I had like 7 or 8 cards in hand at this time, and I think I had a Hannibal as my only counter. It
Yeah, you
was a
had a good
really
hand.
awkward position. Mm.
Had a good
So from the
hand, but that's where it was just like, oh, like, because obviously I don't know what you got in hand, and I'm like,
oh, exactly.
oh no, this guy, like Alex has got a pretty good hand. He's got 2 Magellans on board. I don't, it's not really looking good for me at the moment. Yeah, because I had like 6, 6 or 7 cards, I think, in hand myself.
Mm.
You
So we
knew,
both had a fair amount of
mm,
hand. We both had 2 life. You had a Marco blocker up, and I had a couple of 6k attackers.
so he swung into, I can't remember if you swung into,
I think I went live. I
I
think
think you went
I
life, yeah.
ignored. I
Ignore
I
the
don't know.
Marco.
Yeah, I don't know what your feelings are about Marco, but my experience so far is that you either have to commit to killing it or you have to ignore it. Yeah,
Mm,
like taking a halfway route is often difficult.
yeah, because you want to force your opponent to ditch those cards from hand. Um, and this year I was just like, nah, we'll block this attack, ditch a Seaquake, keep him live, and then yeah,
That was an X Drake
that
from
was an extra.
memory.
That's right, because he made me discard another
Mm.
card from hand,
Mm.
which was huge, and I wasn't expecting that.
So at this time, I think I actually had a fourth Magellan in hand, but I was worried about you swinging into my Magellans and or my leader at this point in time. So I left you up for the uh, Judgment of Hell. I think
Yep.
that's what my decision making through here was. And X-Drake was the only way for me to play a body to the board that could attack. And attacking your hand was never going to be a bad thing.
Yeah, with the Magellans as well, I was like, oh, I've got to take that sacrifice for 4 Don if I want to get rid of, wasn't it?
Mm.
So I feel, yeah, you're in a really good position there with keeping my Don low and then making me like forced to go into either them or your leader. But I was like, I want to try and go. I think I want to try and go for your leader and just put that pressure on.
It's a really,
This is what I was thinking
yeah.
at the time.
I think the Magellan deck's a really interesting one in that it wants to build a board and then give you no good options. So if it can do that, which I think in this game so far has happened, it can be a really difficult deck to play against.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And this is where I was struggling. So I was thinking here, I was like, because I had the Luffy in hand as well.
You've been playing Ace a little bit this set so far?
Yeah, I've been piloting him since it came out. I've had about what 5 or 6 games with him now, I think. I came second at Shop Champs just this past Saturday,
Congratulations.
which was good. Thank you, thank you. And we got gifted the round one buy, which was good. That's always a good thing.
Take those.
I take those any day of the week. And I think like a lot of my other good matchups were, oh, you see, like this is where I just jet pistoled. I think I jet
Yeah.
pistoled your, I think was it your
I think
Magellan?
it was a Magellan. I'm pretty sure it was a Magellan. I found this a
Yeah,
really interesting play. Um, let's see which one you hit, but I think you're right. It's the Magellan.
I think I was thinking, yeah, because I was thinking about it. I was like, do I want to take that sacrifice for 2 Don or do I want to just hit the X Drake? But I'm pretty sure I hit the Magellan. Yeah.
Because yeah, you had to play something, otherwise you were going to lose
Mm,
active Don. But I think from my perspective, once you hit that Magellan, losing the other one would almost be a double up for me in terms of it would really set your Don back.
yeah. And that's you see, that's the sacrifice I had to look at and go, oh
Mm,
no, do I kind of go to a like you know route of you know hitting Magellan or do I kind of just try and control the game a little bit at one life?
mm,
So
mm.
it was a bit rough.
Yeah. Did you have anything in mind for your next turn when you were making these plays?
um, I think if memory serves, I think I was kind of thinking about going more aggressive here, and I was even thinking about swinging with the Marco blocker or
Mm,
a Ezo, attaching Don to an Ezo. Um, I think is this where I swung into your Magellan with
yeah, you
Marco?
did.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So I made you, yeah, because I was like, I want to try and get a card at your hand because you had really good hand advantage. Yeah, I went into Magellan again. So this is where I was just like, you know what, screw it. We're gonna sacrifice another 2 Don because
Yeah.
your board presence was just too high for me at one life. You know what I mean? Like you
Mm,
could have just easily donned up and you would have had 4 attacks. I had one, I've got one blocker up and yeah,
yeah, totally understand that.
that's why I was like, no,
Um,
I gotta clear board here. Um, 2 Don left, I think. Yeah, I played another. I saw
That's
all
right.
my
Your fourth EZO.
ESOs. This is where I was explaining. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I've seen 4 of these ESOs already. Like two, and I think that's when I explained to you. I was like, I've seen 2 or 3 of them in my life. It was so bad. It was, yeah, it was something else right there. And I was experimenting, as you can see in the top 5. I had a teach in there.
Yeah, I remember.
Don't know if it was such a good idea to go down that route. But look,
Good.
we'll trying it out. Flame Emperor was definitely a good card.
It's interesting because when I was looking at that in your hand there, I'm like, oh, you'd never take Flame Emperor. It's a dead card in hand, but Ace can use the events to protect himself. So
Yeah,
it kind of makes sense.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, look, that's all I got to do, try and survive. And it's also another card to pitch for the Marco ability, the blocker.
Mm.
So I was like, yeah, we'll just.
So this turn for me had two aims. I had
See, this is
I
huge.
wanted to get yeah, I wanted to get to 9 Don because I had a 9 drop Cardo in hand,
Hmm.
and but the only way for me to protect myself was with Hell's Judgment.
Yep.
So it was really just trying to develop the board and get a little bit of stuff out of your hand in preparation for the following turn.
Which absolutely worked well, by the way, because look, you got 2 cards from my hand.
Mm,
I got 3 cards left. There were 2 plus 2K counters. You knew one card in my hand was a white beard. So,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was like, okay, he's only got two cards in his hand that I don't know about. One of them's dead, so that's where I was just like in a little tricky spot. And I'm only at 5 Don. So this whole game, guys, as you can see, Alex, you're just restricting me on my Don the whole time,
I,
and it
I
was
don't think you went above 6 on the whole game.
how crazy is that?
Yeah, it's wild. I actually misplayed a little bit through here. So I had this plan in
Mm,
my head to go down the 9-drop Kaido route. The problem, but I left 2 Don up for Hell's Judgment. The problem I had that is if I played Hell's Judgment, I was actually going to neg myself 1 more Don, and I wouldn't hit the 9 Don the following turn. That's why I'm sitting here thinking a little bit,
okay, yep.
working out whether I needed to keep X Drake alive for the following turn or whether I could rely on the 9-drop.
I was going to ask you, yeah, what were you thinking at that point? And see this here, I was like, I'll attach 2 Don to Ace. I'll swing for 7k. Chances are you'll take it because you got 2 life. And then I was
Mm.
just like, yeah, look, we'll keep 2 up and make you think I had a radical beam in hand with the other card, which I don't think the bluff worked.
Well, I kind of had a very limited option here. I kind of had to try and win now or I would lose.
Yeah,
And I often find One Piece games get to that point. I don't know how you feel about that, that there'll be a turn where you just have to commit.
yeah, yeah. And if you don't follow it through, you're gonna get hit back pretty hard. And this is where you dump down the Kaido, and
Mm.
this was it just you kill my blocker. I'm just like, yep, cool. We'll dump that Whitebeard. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Mm.
like, I'm not getting to it. It's gone. So you don't know the other 2 cards in my hand, and I was like, hopefully. But then I was just like, 6k swing, 7k swing, and 10k swing. I think that was yep.
Mm.
No trigger. We took that one 7k, and I think that was it. Yeah. All of them were dead
Yeah,
cards. Yeah.
you had nothing.
That was wild, that one. And so what made you think on that last turn when you were going for it? Because we looks like we're going back here.
um, Here it was more just that I had very little counter in hand. So
Mm,
I'd set up over the past 2 turns for this idea to finish with the 9-drop Kaido, and I
yep.
kind of just had to see the game plan through.
Yeah.
Um, you, I think it's one of those things where you set up a line and hopefully it works out, and hopefully you've calculated correctly and you've anticipated the things you need to anticipate. But I certainly wasn't sure if it was going to work.
Yeah. Look that, and I was just like, whoa, that was a good game. Yeah. Look, I think also that 1k buff on your leader every time as well was so good. Um, from
Just
effects.
adds pressure, yeah,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
against Ace, I guess, where you have an inherent ability to deal with 5k swings by pitching an event, because you've got so many effective 1Ks in your deck, whereas a 6K swing means 2 cards, and that's never quite as fun to do.
Yeah, no, it never is because I've either got to drop, yeah, a 1k or an event card or another plus 2k from hand, and I don't want to do that just, early. So, but it's putting that pressure on me. It's making me take life. Um, it's definitely very, very good. So this is
My
where I think I went first on this one.
Yeah, we were having a chat about things at this
Mm,
point and talking about the whether we like to go first or second. And I think this is where you said first is your preference with this deck.
yeah, because everything was on curve.
Hmm. And Magellan can play either, but if you're going to high roll, your best turns are 1 Don Hannibal, 3 Don Little Sardi into a Jailer Beast, 5 Don Magellan. That's kind of the ideal curve and when it's at its strongest. So um, for me, going first tends to be my preference, unless there's going to be a significant reason to go second, such as maybe against a black deck or a yellow deck.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you find those matchups more with Magellan at the moment, with all the Katakuri and all that, and even like Zoro and stuff and Whitebeard? Have you
Mm.
been finding it still pretty tough, or?
Yeah, so Magellan's an interesting spot. I
Mm,
think at the moment I see him as an aggressive deck. It's a deck that gets things to the board quickly and then just wants to attack and put pressure on that way. I think the Whitebeard Zoro variants have slowed down the game a little bit. So Zoro used to dictate the tempo of the game through the 1-drops and the rush attackers. By not having as many of those or less rush, Magellan now kind of is on a similar tempo to Zoro.
Yep.
Um, so that's the way I see it. I haven't had enough games yet against the range of the meta to really know the matchups well. Um, but my feeling is it might be okay into yellow. I think yellow struggles against that aggro early on. If you can get yellow to a point where they're on low life when they want to drop the 8 and 10 drops, you're in an okay spot. I think Magellan can do it.
Yep.
Um, but I'm not certain.
Okay.
Uh,
I find like yeah, if I'm applying enough aggression against yellow, I kind of win like 80% of the time.
mm,
But if I allow them to kind of like control the game, establish board and hand advantage, and basically yeah, just like as the game goes on, it I start to struggle and I start to kind of like go,
yeah,
what am I gonna do against this or this? Because I know he's got this or whatever. Like especially with knowing what triggers they have in life.
if they
So
safely establish like a category or a 10 cost big mum onto the board,
yep.
that's a really difficult position to come back from.
Yeah, 100%. And then that Big Mom's such a good card. Like it's just,
Yeah.
see, like it looks like I didn't have anything to play here, so I
Yeah.
just was like, okay, turn one, turn two, like we attach three Don to Ace and just swing for eight and just go from there.
Does this
I was,
happen much, do you find? Did you find that's a problem in the ace deck?
see, look, I'm showing the camera, I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, okay, I got nothing to go here. No, I most of the time I've got stuff to play, like either one or three Don, because like, especially since I've changed it out now with having a couple of Zoros in the deck, the starter deck Zoros, the
Mm,
Ezos,
mhm.
I think there was a few other cards in there that I thought like even there is a few other cards, but that's where Ace gets a bit difficult because those cards are event cards, and if my opponent hasn't established any
Mm,
characters on board, I can't use them because I think I was chatting to you about this on the decision on what route you want to run with Ace, right? And I usually like turn three, I kind of have that for Five Fist if my opponent's kind of starting to build their board like you have on your turn two here. And I'm just like, oh yeah, look, we'll Otama and Seaquake it.
mm,
Um, but like it's stuff like that that I kind of look at considering what I want to do to keep my opponent's board clear. So then when I start establishing board around turn four, because that's when I start to hit the Marcos and such.
yeah.
My opponent's board's clean as well, so then we're both establishing characters, but I'm still the first one that's doing it. That's how I'm thinking approaching Ace
Mm, mhm.
in certain matchups because it's such a variable deck that can change between events and characters as such. It's just you got different routes that you can play around it. I know it sounds a little bit difficult, but that's where I feel the kind of like the big brain power comes into it on what you need to do to understand Ace, right?
Mm.
But a lot of people got different approaches on it. Look, that's just me on how I've built my deck too.
It's certainly a deck that I find a little odd to play into because I don't really know
Mm,
exactly what it's doing yet. From a matchup perspective between Magellan and Ace, I think Ace has some really good options into Magellan because Magellan tends to play a lot of like 5k bodies. Five Fist is great. You effectively nullify my ability to play a little Sardi into a Jailer Beast.
yeah,
Um, so I certainly was a bit nervous about some of those things. And I think in this turn, that's why I played the ulti into page one because it wasn't susceptible just to Fire Fist alone. I
yeah,
think you still do
exactly.
it
I
from
think
memory, but
I think I do. Yeah, maybe. Oh no, hang on. It looks like I was thinking about the Flame Emperor. But no, I went to the EZO. Okay, so we're going for the search.
interesting.
Um, yeah, and this play that you did last turn, I was like, oh, okay, we're going down that route. You got 7k on the board. You got was that a 5k on the board as well?
It's a five and a six.
Five and a six, and it was just like I was
Mm.
like, ooh, okay. He's already establishing board pretty quick. I was like, all right, we'll search out. We got them like teach, which this is what I was experimenting with at the time, guys. So I've taken this out of my deck just in case people are looking at it going, what?
Yeah, I
um,
remember we had a fun rules interaction here in a moment.
yes, we did. And thank you for that for helping me understand it because I didn't realize what was that rule again, Alex?
Yeah, so Marshall D Teach, his when attacking effect says trash a character with
Mm,
4,000 power or less. The tricky part of that is normally when this game talks about trash effects, it's talking about trashing from hand. That's when we normally see it. Um, Marshall D Teach, though, the wording is a character as opposed to a character card. In the TRM, character means a character on the board.
yeah.
So when you're using the Marshall D Teach effect, you're actually getting rid of a character off the board that has 4,000 power or more. It's a question that's come up quite regularly. So,
Mm,
bit of background: I'm one of the level 1 judges for the game, so I keep abreast of all the discords that kind of deal with rules questions and the like. And this one's come up a few times.
yep, yep. Because you're Alex is our head judge for WA guys, just in case you were wondering. And yeah, it's very good on at understanding all the effects of these cards. So yeah, it was really good that you helped me out with that one, and especially as well with the ace, because I think I had to pitch, as you guys saw just on my last attack, I had to pitch an event card, but you got to declare it, right?
That's the other thing. So
First.
Ace has a very specific timing for when you can use attack uh, event cards to increase your attack and when you
Mm,
can defend. The when attack is not so bad. Turn sideways, use the event cards, but it's the defending one that you have to be careful of. Technically, you need to use your event cards with Ace's effect prior to using any other counters. So, for example, if you used an Atama as a 2k counter and then tried to use an event card to increase your power by 8k to defend an attack, that would be an illegal play.
yep. Okay. So that wouldn't go through. And that was yeah, it was really good to learn that because that's how I played it too. I think I went for the +2. I think, and anyway, it'll be in one of the plays that
Why
guys will
somewhere,
see
yeah.
shortly. Yeah, and this is where I was like, oh man, like you dumped the king, killed my
Oh, having the
teach.
king was the perfect answer
Oh,
for me in hand here.
I was just like, oh no, like so that was a waste of a play last turn. I was like, all right, so I'm in a bit of a tricky situation here, and I was like, all right, well, what do we do? And I think at this time I was thinking the Flame Emperor, I believe. So you might have been I
I
think
don't remember.
or was it maybe oh, maybe it was something else. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see
So
what I do.
I'll fess up here. I was
Yeah.
feeling a bit cocky at this point. I'm like, I've got a big board.
You got
Things are
3
going my
life. Yeah.
way. Won the first one. This will be no problem.
And this is where I think it changed a little bit, didn't it? Yeah, I went for the Whitebeard.
Ah,
That's
yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
this changed it completely. As Whitebeard does, as Edward Newgate
S-
does. He
Mm,
always kind of
makes life
turns the
hard.
tide. Yeah, it makes life hard. I
Mm.
mean, a 10k on the board there, and effectively killing a 3k or less when he swings is nice. And then the +2k is always nice on the leader. And I'm glad I declared that with the dice because you got to declare that too, guys. The
Yep,
2k,
sure do.
otherwise it will not go through. Otherwise, and then I was like, yeah, sweet, pass turn, and this is where you yeah, this is where you're in your spot. Looks like that's what you're looking at here.
Yeah, so I've got 8 Dons, so
Hmm.
Kaido wasn't an option. At this point, I was thinking, oh, that turn I played Ulti in page 1, I probably should have played the Magellan in my hand. I
Yeah.
forgot about Whitebeard, so that was a bit silly. Attacking into aces, any leader that's buffed up by Whitebeard, it's always a bit of a tricky one. I
Hmm.
think what I was worried about is if I attacked into your leader and you defended out of it, I might just lose my board the next turn. So from memory, here I was looking at how could I build a board in preparation for the next turn. I had enough life to take some hits from Whitebeard if I needed to.
Yep.
Um, I just kind of needed to survive. So I forget why I was asking you for this.
I think
Uh,
maybe you were looking at seeing how many events or maybe +2k counters I've
yeah,
used,
possibly.
perhaps.
Honestly, I don't remember. There must have been a good reason at the time,
Yeah,
surely.
yeah, because it definitely impacted the decision that you made going into this turn.
And I think
Um,
with that Don setup, I'm probably looking at either Queen, Sardi, or Rhinoceros, and just
yeah,
working at I want to do that.
yeah, this is where you were just thinking through to see which way would have been more
Mm.
viable for you because, um, guys that are tuning in as well, Alex is at 3 life. I'm sorry that you can't see that with the border that's up, but he is at 3 life. But yeah, like yeah, 3 life. You're sitting comfortable, like you said, and yeah, it was definitely to see how which way. I think yeah, you went for the queen blockers. That's right. I remember that.
I think I get rid of Magellan here.
Magellan,
I
yeah,
think I decided I was never going to play it this game. Now that you got to 10 on, it wasn't going to matter.
yeah. And there was another. Oh, yep, that was
So yeah, another Minotaurus, just in case
Minotaurus,
you were
yeah,
going to clear my board, that would get me something. I think
yeah.
that's what I had in mind.
Because then you'll get a plus from that. And look, I always, otherwise it's a good free 5k swing next turn. It's
Exactly. And if you want to kill it, I get a benefit. I think that's what the Magellan deck kind of does is I get benefits for you killing my stuff.
mm,
But what it previously had a problem with is you would run out of cards in hand because you'd want to play things to the board, it would die, then you'd need to refresh.
yeah,
Minotaurus helps that a bit.
exactly. Yep, yep. There's a lot of different like sort of with my events that I have to drop, say, an additional card or
Mm.
whatnot to kind of yeah
What were you thinking this turn? Do
process.
you remember?
I think I was like, yeah, see, look, I was going through it as you saw, like going, all right, which way is a good play to go around this? Do I hit the Luffy down, bypass your blocker on the first swing, and then go for, I can't remember if I had the round table or not. Yeah, I
I
did.
think you did,
To
yeah.
to shrink your blocker down, attach a 2 to Whitebeard, and then swing and kill the blocker as well. Effectively getting 2 damage through. Um, with minus a blocker, which would have been, I think, I don't know if that would have been a good play. That's why I was going over it. Otherwise, I was like, do I hit the Flame Emperor, kill off the blocker, and +3 on the leader and go for a double tack swing, and then Whitebeard swing? you know.
Mm,
So
mm.
this is definitely where I was looking at, and I think I also had a Fire Fist in hand too, and that's where I was like, do I hit a round table on your blocker? Hit the five fist on both the blocker and your 5k. Yeah. See, this is where okay. So I did. I went for the round table. I think I shrunk the 7k.
Yeah, you
Yeah, the
did.
king. Yeah, and I attached 2 to Whitebeard here. I think to
I love
kill.
this play. I think this was
Yeah.
a really smart play.
Yeah, I went, okay, we'll attach 2 to Whitebeard, swing to leader. Hopefully you try and block, and I'll kill the king so I can get rid of 2 cards. That's what I was looking at. But you chose
Mm.
to just take the life, and I was like, okay, nah, he didn't fall for that. And then I was like,
So,
okay, so we got 4 Dawn left.
mm,
It was a bit. I was thinking, or do I hit them? I think I had a Makino as well in hand to beef the Ezo, I
yeah, I think
believe.
I see that there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
And I
think
think, is that an Atama you've got in hand as well,
yeah, I had
maybe?
an Atama as well. So I was like, you see, all the different options I had to go around, like
Mm.
what sort of cards I wanted to kind of, you know, effectively eliminate on your board or just cause a bit more pressure on something else. What do I do here? Thinking about it. Here we go. Attach 3 Don to Ace. Yep. Make him 8k. Can't remember if I sacrificed an event card as well in hand. And this is when you're like, okay, so this is how the ruling goes. What we were talking about before.
Mm.
Because I
Mm.
went to swing. I didn't do anything, and then I was like, maybe do I want to put a
But
9k?
yeah, I think you asked about it because we'd spoken about the
Yeah, I think I was
defensive
talking about this.
ruling.
Yeah, because I want to go for a 9k swing. I'm pretty sure because it makes it, you get 3 cards from hand, or you block with. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you just
Yeah, I think
blocked,
I'd
and then dump
maybe.
another 2 cards from hand. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
Because I think at this point I'm like, well, you're not swinging with anything else, so
yeah.
that's
Exactly.
more efficient.
I think here I'm at 3 life as well, 2 or 3 life, and I had a radical beam in hand as well, and I was like, look, we'll
Mm.
keep that up, we'll pass. I think we're pretty comfortable at this point. Yeah, plus 2k, 2k counters and a rad. We're looking all
Mm.
right.
Yeah, it's not a bad position.
It wasn't too bad. Yeah, and we got rid of the king. Um, so
So I
yeah,
think
now we're going
coming
back to
into
your
this
turn.
turn, I
Mm.
had 9 Don, and from memory, I had a 9 drop Cardo in hand. And what I was working at was whether I go down the 9 drop Cardo route or whether I go down a blocker route.
Yeah,
I think
this
that's
was
what.
this was the big turn. This is what defined
Mm.
game 2 right now.
Oh,
This
it was
was
so good.
this was so good. All right, so everyone tuning in, you got to watch his last 2 plays of Alex and me. Like it was so much thinking involved, so much brain power here. It's so good, man. Eh?
Because it's, yeah, maybe I'll talk about it once it happens.
Yeah.
Um, Because at this point, I was definitely thinking about you had, I think, 2 or 3 life. I can't quite tell. And I think I decided I'd go for just a 5k swing. I don't invest any Don on this play. I'm always going to do it and just see what happens.
I don't know if I just took this one because I'm pretty sure I had 3 life there. It's hard to tell with the white sleeves, isn't it? If I counter out, I must have had 2. I don't know.
Yeah, if you radical beam, that'll tell us.
Yeah, here we go. Yep. Alright, no trigger from that. Looks like I still got 2 life. So.
I think you do, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, you know what? We'll just take that swing. Still got 2 life. Extra card in hand. This is where we swung for 7.
I tell you what, going into
this is
your
here.
life.
Wait. What was that?
Yeah, so I decided to go with a defensive play here. I play a queen, filter my hand a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, was that swing a 6k? Wasn't a 7k?
It was a 6k with page 1.
Yep, a 6k. Yep, cool. Yeah, went for another blocker queen. That's right. So 2 on the board. Counted out of the leader swing, and then this is where I was finding it a little bit like, oh, you swung with the blocker. One of you, yeah. I thought you would have kept it up. To be honest.
Yeah, that may have been a misplay.
That I think, I think you'd done it, and when I looked, I was like, and I think you knew. You're like, wait, why did I do that?
I think so. In my head, I've got 4 Don up, and I'm about to play Min Qualita board, and I thought 2 blockers, 2 life.
Surely he won't. Yeah.
I've got some cards in hand. Maybe that'll be fine.
And just cause a bit more pressure, eh?
Yeah, but I wasn't really achieving anything, I guess, by making that attack. You were on 1 life. I could have held up queen, made sure I survive.
Here we go. Checking if this is
yeah, what did you get off this? I think it is.
I think it was a 5 fist, but I thought, nah, there's no point killing, because the other ones, because your queens are 6k blockers. And I was like, there's no point. I'm pretty sure it was a 5 fist. Yeah, it was. It was a 5 fist because, all right, you'll see my next turn on what I did. Yeah. I remember now. It was a 5 fist. Yeah. I was like, nah, no trigger. We won't use that.
Tell you what, it is tricky when you think about a trigger and then put
it
into
was a 5
hand.
Fist. Yep, and then you went for the second blocker. And this is where I was like, okay, this was my big brain turn.
But I think you're very much in a position where win this turn or lose.
Yep. 100%. Yep.
I think we spoke a little bit here. I'm pretty sure I was taunting you in some way.
You were taunting me. I was like, oh my god, I gotta really think about this, because if I do this play, it's gonna be like, there was literally, I think there was only 2 plays I could do this, right? But I had to really think and go, all right, is this gonna work? Because you still had a good amount of cards in hand. You had like...
Yeah, I think I had 5 or 6 cards in hand at this time.
Was it? Yeah, 5 cards there? Yeah.
5 cards.
Yeah, see, I think that's when I asked you. And we're just like, okay, 5 cards in hand. No active Don. 2 blockers up. That's where it got a little bit tricky for me. And I'm like, do I hit the 5 fist? Kill your 5k blocker. Just to get rid of 1. And I think I then did the Flame Emperor to then kill your other queen blocker, +3 on leader and double attack swing. This is what was going through my head right now.
See, I did not expect you to use a 5 fist on 1 character. For some reason, it never really occurred to me that would be a thing.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, you can still just get rid of 5k. That's why I was like, all right, we're going to dump the radical beam with the 5 fists, because we need to clear both blockers to go, because you had 2 life at this point. I'm like, the only way I see myself winning this, because I got to go for game. I've got no life here.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, we're going to go for a double attack swing, 8k. Pray to God you don't have 9. And go for 10k and Whitebeard for game.
And just see what happens.
How wild was that? Like, and I was just like, all right.
Because you didn't have any other events in hand, hey? You were going to use all 3 events, you weren't able to buff up your leader.
Wouldn't be able to buff up leader. That's why it was a big sacrifice to take. I was like, just hope he doesn't have two 2Ks in hand or a 2K and two 1Ks.
Mm, mm.
Because I will not get
Well,
through next turn.
I think you can go into Magellan a little bit in that way. Magellan typically will have a couple of Kaidos. The 4 Magellans, it'll have 4 Judgments of Hells, and then it usually plays a couple of other non-counter cards. For example, I play some Guild Tesora in my deck.
Yep, Guild Tesora, yeah. That's still a
So,
good card, though. I still feel good.
oh,
Good card.
it's a great card.
See, as I
All
pop
right,
the
so you kill
blocker.
off the.
It's just, all right, this is what's happening. Plus 3K. Sorry. And that's what I'm thinking about the flame. Yep, flame emperor. Kill the other one. Plus
And when
3K
you
and
do
double it.
that, I'm like, oh
What?
no. I really hope my life is good here.
And I'm just like,
So
yep, 8K double attack into lead.
I have to take it. I don't remember what I pull off the life here.
I can't remember either.
I think I think about a Hell's Judgment trigger.
Oh, I beat into and I got game. Look at that.
And I had
That
1K
was crazy.
counter.
1K counter
Yeah.
out of all that. And I'm
Out of
just
all of
like,
that.
wow, that's very unfortunate with that last. Because like you could have even pulled a Hell's Judgment to neg.
No, so I would have removed a Don. It wasn't going to do anything for me.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I don't think I had any triggers that would actually have saved me there. You were pretty happy after that.
Yeah, look, we got we had a bit of, we got revived.
Well, I certainly thought going into this last game, that was not really where I wanted to be. I think I felt good in game 2, and all of a sudden I didn't feel good.
Yeah. And these are really close games we were having too. It just like it all came to determining on what route we chose to make. And if you didn't swing with your blocker that previous turn, you would have won because
Yeah, true.
I wouldn't have been able to get through it. There's no way I would have been able to do any of what I did. Like it just would have been too hard. So I would have been like, yeah, nah, GG, and then you would have gotten me. But you see, this is where I was explaining. I was like, I had a Luffy in hand, but then I'm just like, it still wouldn't have mattered because you had multiple blockers, and I'm just like, you can still just block a Whitebeard swing, like. So yeah, no, that was good.
But
off from game 3.
Talk to me about Flame Emperor. How do you find that card?
Oh, that card is so hard to deal with. It's
Are
one
you happy
of
to
those
see it? Are you kind of
situational,
middling?
very situational. That's why you play that over like if you're going. See, it's making a decision of going that or ace because they're both 7 Don and they're both good in their own right. So it just goes if you want to clear your opponent's board and do some serious damage, or like, well, kill an 8 cost or less, yeah, and do a double attack damage, or kind of like go for ace, establish another character on board, and potentially, yeah, clear your opponent's board by negging 3 off 2 other cards and putting a little bit of pressure on. So, I don't know, like, it's very situational, Flame Emperor. That's why I play 2 of them and 2 of the aces.
How significant do you find the 8k power that it can KO?
Oh, very, very useful. It's a very resourceful situation to use in, especially against Kid. I've used it against Kid a couple of times, and I feel it's a very like, look, the 8k or less is very nice, and I feel if I'm hitting that with something like Otama, or even maybe
Do you run any Crossfire?
No, I don't. But I was thinking of running Gordon's in it next.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because he negs 3k off the board for 1 Don. So, well, off 1 character. So that's why I was like, I feel that could be alright too, maybe. But it's a few, like we got a few different builds with it. But the 8k is definitely a good hit. It clears most things. Like, what I find it more for is just to get rid of a high blocker.
Yeah,
or a high threat. A high threat that I just can't deal with next turn.
Going into this set, I guess the obvious targets through to things like Katakuri, Odin
Mm,
from OPO2, Kid from OPO1, and then with conjunction other cards to extend out to your 12k. Because I guess Crossfire and Flame Emperor, for example, kills anything in the game. There's nothing
yep.
that's higher than a 12k power. Do you find the trigger useful? What is it, 6k
It's
power or
6k or
less?
less. Yeah, it's very good. That and it's essentially just like another jet pistol in your deck.
Mm,
That's why I was like running. Well, that helped me kind of like make the decision on going. All right, I'll run 2 Flame Emperors and 2 jet pistols
mm,
instead of going up to
mm.
4 jet pistols. Because each card was kind of like helping on my decision on what it can do, and that's pretty familiar with the other. When I was building the deck, sorry, when I was building the deck, a lot of effects, a lot of triggers, are very, very, yeah, similar to each other with killing 5 or 6k or less, or even like the Seaquake that negs 3k off a trigger. They're all very good. So, but Seaquake was one that I thought we'll run 4 of, because you know tapping 1 for killing a 3k or less is
Yeah, it's quite
huge.
efficient.
It's
And I
quite
guess it's a
efficient.
1k counter and
Mm.
ace as well, so it's not going to be dead in hand.
That too as well. Yeah, I was like, this is really good with something like Round Table as well, because I can
Mm.
kill a 12k or less easy for 5 Don. Like, we're good.
So I think I've just played Hannibal. I think what I'm unsure about is I've found a Magellan
Mm.
in those 5 cards, and I was just deciding whether I wanted to take it. I had a little Sardi in hand, but no Jailer Beast. So this deck runs 10 Jailer Beasts, 10 or 11.
10 or 11
Um,
Jailer Beasts. Okay. Yep.
yeah, so with the new set that came out, you've now got another 8 possible Jailer Beasts if you wanted to put them in. The Minnow Zebra, which is a banished one, and then the Minnow Rhinoceros.
Yep.
So all up, there are 16 possible Jailer Beasts you could run, but if you run all of them, you kind of get a little bit clogged around the 4 Don mark.
Mm.
So I think Magellan decks tend to play some different variants, but a really strong turn to play for Magellan is Little Sardi into a Jailer Beast. And so I think in that search there, that's what I was looking at. Meanwhile, on the other side, you're going crazy with Ezo and Buggy.
Oh, I'm going through my searches like there was no tomorrow here. I was like, oh, happy days. We got Buggy, we got Ezo. We're picking out our characters, our event cards. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, game 3. We're on. um, yeah, because I was like looking at it, I was like thinking Magellan runs a lot of the impel down stuff as well, right? Like,
Yeah,
um,
so all of the Magellan based
mm,
cards are impel down.
yep. See, this is like, and what I loved so much about this matchup is just like Magellan and Ace, right? Off actual impel down off the series. Like him
Mm, mm.
trying to keep Ace locked up, Ace fighting for his life, trying to survive. We had a very good matchup here. That's why I
It was
chose it.
so fun.
So this was like my decision on going for Ace instead of Whitebeard, like you said earlier. When we were talking, I was like, you know what? I want to keep this themed. Magellan and Ace. I think it would be pretty cool to show, like let's have a matchup, Magellan versus Ace off the impel down of the show. Like,
Mm.
let's go, let's go. I think it'll be great, and I hope the viewers are enjoying it. So yeah, it looks like you're going for a bit more of an aggressive route here, Alex. What
Yeah,
made you kind of
so
go this way?
I had no other options in hand.
Ah, okay.
Essentially, when you see a Magellan player do this, it means they either don't have Sardi, they don't have a Minnow Rhinoceros, or they don't have a Jailer Beast. So in this case, I had a little Sardi, but no Jailer Beast.
Right.
But it's not the worst thing. It kind of works out. 2 5k
Yeah.
swings, you pressure hand. It fits with what you're trying to do with the deck, but
Yeah.
it's
Exactly.
not your
Yeah.
ideal play.
Yeah. So I hit down a teach again here, and I'm thinking, all right, hopefully this can stick this time, because last time you removed it quite easy, and I was like, all right, we'll go for leader. See if we can put a bit of attack pressure on here.
I think this was the right timing for
Yeah,
Teach. I wasn't able to get to a point where I'd be able to remove him. Didn't have the Don for it.
yeah. I'll just swing with E-zone to him, and that was it.
It
Yep.
was always going to be taken, no counter there.
Yeah. Because if you did, I'd just be like, all right, we'll just swing with Buggy then. Getting
Hmm.
quicker. So this is where, all right, 5 Don. Yeah, Magellan. Yep. Magellan plays out. I'm like, oh no, not again. He's already restricting my Don.
Uh, After you getting to Whitebeard last game, I decided I really didn't want that to happen again.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
one of the most interesting things about best of three is I feel like our first game we were really just feeling out what was in each other's decks.
exactly.
Um,
Yep.
and then second round, third round is a chance to uh, change your playstyle a bit. And I think that's something you were talking to me about is that, and I noticed is that you were changing your playstyle as we went.
Yep. This is why I love best of threes. And I come from a background of Dragon Ball, that I've been playing for 6 years, and I'm like, best of threes have always been my advantage in games because I I get to just understand my opponent, not only the deck, like the cards that they're using, but their playstyle.
You were so aggressive there.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna get rid of this Magellan straight away. And then I think I was going to. I believe I might. I was thinking about. I was going to swing with Teach here, from memory serves. I
Yeah,
was thinking about it, and this is when you explained to me about the ruling with Teach, because I was going to ditch a card from hand that had a character of power of
yeah, I think so.
4 or more, 4K or more,
Mm.
and you were like, no, it's got to be from board. And so I was like, oh, okay. And that actually helped me. Like that was better for me because I already dropped the card there, ready to swing. And then this is where you were like, yeah, stop. All right, let me just, because you knew I was
Before
gonna
you
do
show me
that.
the card.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And you explained to me, yep, yep, yep. Because you can see I just get ready for that sort of stuff, which is good. Um,
Your intent was very clear. It meant that I could we could sort it out before any
yeah,
cards were revealed.
yeah. So this was good because so going back on the ruling, guys, that if you've been watching this through, like you'll see that yeah, you got to have a character on board that's 4K or more, to kill off into your trash in order to then draw a card, which is actually good for your hand because you're plussing a card, right? So,
Mm.
but this round was like, yeah, okay, we'll just swing for 6K.
I think this was the right decision from if memory serves me.
Because I knew next turn if you went to, you could just play a king and kill him, like, and I'm just
Exactly right.
and I'm just like, I got to get value out of this guy this time and just kind of go for a swing, get a card from hand.
And if I have king, I'm always going to do that.
mm, yeah, you don't want this guy sticking on board, especially since I can like don up Buggy or Ezo, swing
Mm.
with them, and then kill them off with the Teach swing and plus a card from there. So yeah, what were you going through at this point now? We had
Um,
6 Don.
yeah, I think I was. I think I did have a kick in hand, and I was thinking about it.
Mm,
So Magellan's got a really funny experience through the mid game because you are playing cards to neck Don. You don't advance to the end game quite as quickly as you normally would, and so it gets a bit awkward in these turns usually.
yeah,
So I think in my head I was thinking, oh, well, what's my next couple of turns going to be? How do I get to the wanted Kaido that's in my hand?
and you see here you dumped the king and killed my Teach, and I was like, yeah, okay,
Mm,
sweet. So it was a good idea on doing that.
absolutely.
And I'm only at 3 Don here.
Mm,
So now
yeah.
I'm very behind because you got the early Magellan on me, which always hurts, and I was like, okay.
A tricky spot to be in with Magellan because
Mm,
you're happy to kill them when you get up to 10 Don, because at that point in time, losing the 2 Don isn't impactful, but you then have to trade off that hand because you're going to have to defend the attacks.
yeah.
So I don't know what's right or wrong, but I think you have to commit to a decision one way or the other.
And what was funny about this play here is that I only run 2 teachers in the deck. And I was like, oh man, I saw another one. I'm like, okay, we'll dump him down because I don't have anything else to play for 4 Don because I'm only at 5. I didn't have a Marco in hand, I think. Yeah, no, I just have all event cards. And I was like, all right, we're just going to dump this guy down and hopefully he doesn't dump another king and kill him. That's all that was going through my head. Like, I'm just like, okay, survive now this one. Yeah, see, all my cards, I think, yeah, all of them are events. There's not one that's not event. This is where I was telling you, I was like, I have a very tricky hand here, I think. Or did I? Yeah, one white beard. Yeah, I had one white beard and
Yeah, double
5
Flame Emperor.
double
Mm.
flame emperor, radical beam. Far out. Yeah.
So when a Magellan player swings just for 5k, it can give you a little bit of an indication about what's going to happen in the rest of the turn.
Okay, yeah, because you're going to
Um,
use your Don more to spam out what characters you think
mm.
could be more effective for you. Yep.
So I intentionally went this route because I wanted to get to 9 Don next turn. So I had a Queen in hand. I think I had a little Sardi as well, potentially. Maybe not. Maybe I'd counted out with it. So I had the ability to play that and draw and neg Don, but then I'd be on 8 Don next turn, and it wasn't quite going to have the tempo that I wanted.
Yeah. Do you feel like you'll set yourself up for a Kaido as well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. And because you play, I can't remember, did you play Douglas Bullet in it as well?
No, I've
Ah,
taken him out of this variant. With the new Impel Down cards that have come into OPO3, I've sped up the tempo of the deck a little bit.
nice. Okay, yeah. That's why it's got a bit more of that aggressive approach to it. With
Yeah,
still a nice, handy, like, blocker coverage, I mind you.
yeah, totally, totally.
Because those queens and that are just, they're so good. So good.
This deck wants to play a board and then aggressively defend that board with Hell's Judgment or blockers, and then to press you enough so that at some point you can 9-drop Kaido to finish the game off.
Yeah.
Because the 9-drop kills anything that's 6 cost or lower, and I don't think there's only Blocker Kid and Blocker Luffy that are above that cost in the game
See, as
in
well, it's
terms of
like,
blockers.
I was looking at it and I'm just like, wow. I think, into my second Whitebeard as well. So everything that I was looking at, I was like, what event card is good at this point? That's all I'm looking at. Because, see, this is the route that I was talking about earlier when I was like, when you get into this point with Ace, you got to know when to use your event cards. Like, when's a good time to use them. And I'm just thinking at this point, is it worth using a Flame Emperor, killing a card off and swinging for an 8k or 9k double attack? Or, yeah, do I don up one of these characters, swing, then swing with Teach, kill it, plus another card, see what I get from that? Like, so this is where it just goes through my mind, and it's just, it can be such a struggle.
There's a lot of decisions there. Were you
Yeah.
thinking about attacking into the king?
100%, yeah. I was looking at thinking like, do I clear another character and swing with Teach, with donning him up into your king? But I don't know if it would have been worth it because I still didn't really have a lot of Don. I think 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I only had 7 Don at this stage. So
So you were either Flame Emperor something,
yeah, if I Flame
or
Emperor, I would have Flame
mm,
Emperor your king at
yeah,
least because you would have just dumped a card on Teach to just save him because Teach would just get to 7k with that 1k buff.
absolutely.
And I'm just like, I just would have just gone for that. So I was like, all right, we'll swing for leader. Yep, ditch a card. I think I went into. No, I was thinking here. I was like, I think I went into leader with Teach. Because I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do here? Do I want to put one Don on him, make him an 8k?
Yeah, it's always tricky.
Thinking like,
It's a tricky decision to go into like a big body because
yeah,
if the attack's not successful, it often feels like you've lost a fair bit of ground.
exactly. Yeah, I got to make sure, like, if I'm going to swing into your king, I got to try and, like, make you. Yeah, see, I was like, swing into king. We'll just do 7k, kill this plus a card, make you ditch another card from hand if you want to save king. But I don't think you did, surprisingly enough. I think you let him die. I can't remember.
I,
We'll see here. We'll see here.
yeah, I don't remember, but if I let him go, it's because I was thinking you could just swing it at him again with your
No,
leader.
okay. So,
Okay, I just
yeah.
have him.
And that's what made me change my decision because I had 5 Don. What did I draw into? I can't remember what I drew into. Might have been another event card, and I was like, oh
Another
boy,
Flame Emperor, I think it might have been.
I was like, oh boy, no, like this is actually a little bit rough right now. Like it's like it is, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Like because this is why the event cards they're good, but it's like yeah. And then see this, I was like, do I use Fire Fist here? I don't know. We'll just swing it to leader, see what he does, see if he takes it or if he. And I was like, oh damn it! I was hoping you would have used another card from hand. That's why I'm just like, oh you. And then I'm looking at this. I'm like, all right, we'll play another buggy. Oh, so I must have drew into the buggy, right, from the teacher's
Must have
effect.
done. That must have been what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, let's just get another event card if I can. And I just saw the Sequake. Yeah. So we hit the
Mm.
Sequake at that
That
turn.
Atama, if it was like a Dadan or something like that, and you found the Atama, that would have given you a great play with the
Oh,
fire
that would have been
fist.
perfect because I could have gotten
Mm.
rid of your king and another card there, and I would have just been like,
Hmm.
yeah, we're cruisy. But this was I was just like struggling. Like I was like, oh no,
I
all
can see
my
where the
cards.
Gordon. Sorry, yeah, I can see where the Gordon you were talking about would be quite useful there because that would
Yeah,
take King to a 4K and then 5K, 4K. Perfect.
yeah, that's exactly what I think about. Like cards that are at 7K. Um, so I went for the Fire Fist.
Yeah, I was interested in this. I don't think it was a bad play, but it's certainly not a value-driven play.
Nah, it wasn't. It was just to get rid of one card. That's it. I didn't want you to
Mm.
plus from the other effect, and I was like, look, we don't want three swings coming at me. Well, four in leader. I was like,
Mm.
we'll just get rid of one because, as you can see, that's all I had. Like in my hand, that's all the play I had. Like
Mm.
I was like, oh man, like this is rough. Unless I wanted to try and invest more into King earlier, but I think that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should have invested another two Don with Teacher's swing into your King. But
Mm.
so now this is where it's your turn. You're starting to put the pressure on me.
Yeah, at
Here
this
we
point,
go.
I've committed to the 9 drop turn, so I'm just
Yep.
going aggressive. I played it now because I wanted to swing 6K a leader before swinging 7, just in case you
Mm,
picked up a 2K off life.
kill the Tweech. Swing with 6K, and then you got a 10K, and I'm just like, oh no, this is bad. See what I got from life. Yep. No trigger.
What were you thinking here? That you just counter out with 3 events or something?
Yeah, I was thinking like, look, we'll go. I think we'll think about going the radical beam.
Oh, that's right. You were holding that up, weren't you?
Yeah, I had one radical beam in hand, but no matter what, I was in a rough spot. I was in a very rough
Mm.
spot with this. I was like, all right, we just got to take his life because all right. Now the reason why I chose to take it because I knew I could counter out of this card, this attack, and I was like, next turn we could possibly go into doing what we did with you the previous turn by going into a double attack
Mm.
and then donning
Mm.
up one of the one costs or playing a Makino, beefing up the other one, and having another two swings there. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
and
Hmm.
that's why I was like, I think we could have a chance to do something funny here. So hopefully we can, like I was like, oh,
But I think your play of taking a life is probably correct.
yeah, because I
Um,
knew I'm gonna. There's no point of leaving another life there where I could just die the next turn from all that board. Because
mm.
I knew I couldn't
Hmm.
I couldn't kill it all. I couldn't because I knew this turn was my turn to try and go for game.
But I think it's a good. You're playing well if you're recognizing those moments, because I
Yep.
think some players in this moment would have thought, "Oh, I can stop the 6K, I can stop the 7K, I'll take the 10K, I'll have one life left,
Yep.
um, and then I'll try and survive from there." But at that point, you have very little in hand. I think you'd play a Whitebeard if you did that, and that'd be about it. And I don't think a Whitebeard's enough to live through the next turn.
Nah, no way. Because I was like, I got two Whitebeards in hand, so going through my head, I'm like, this is a dead card to me right now. Because
Hmm.
there is no way I can, you're gonna tap nine just simply to play a Whitebeard and do that. So yeah, this is where I was like, all right, we'll hit the Flame Emperor and use X amount of Don to put on the one costs as well. And I was like, I think this the best play to do in my in
I
my
agree.
in my situation. And yeah, and see, I had a Makino in hand as well, so I could be like, I can buff another one.
Mm.
I can play so for two Don, I can make Buggy a 7K at least, which is quite nice.
I mean, when you're talking about good numbers to swing for,
Mm. I was like,
2K, 4K over, anything like that.
yeah, but yeah, I was at 9 Don, so that extra Don would have been nice. But I
Mm.
was like,
Hmm.
yeah, we'll just Flame Emperor. I think I killed your king because I didn't want you to plus,
I think
obviously.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because in this situation you don't want to plus
No,
because you're just
no,
going to get another
absolutely
card.
not.
You're going to draw two, and it's like okay. Well. So we did that. Went up to 8K. I think I ditched a card from hand. if memory serves, to go up to 9 or 10 with double attack. Because, yeah, you're at 2 life here.
Yeah, I think because the defensive events in your hand mean nothing from now.
So I ditched this to go to 9k. 9k, yeah, and you're just like, all right, I'll take that every day of the week. Bang. That's when you got one of my puppy.
So I thought I'll just do
First
it. It doesn't
trigger.
make any.
Yeah, yeah. And then you had another good
This
effect.
one, yeah. So
Oh,
I'd never actually played Top Knot before these games.
mm,
Top Knot is a 2 Don, send 2 Don back card, and you can bottom deck 4 cost or less, but
yep.
it's got a trigger to play its main effect. So I bottom decked Buggy there with that effect.
It was
And we
such
were
a good. It
talking
was
about it.
such a good effect.
Oh,
I was like, oh man. So I went for the Makino, attach an extra Dawn, and swing for 6k, and then you were just like, yeah, 7. Oh, but that I think that was just the best way I could have done it, and yeah, that was it.
I agree.
GG. Like,
And it was a really interesting game. And it came down to just one turn.
yeah, yeah, it was so good. So close. Going through my last turn there, what were you thinking as well? Were you like, no, he's not going to get me this time?
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking, even if you Flame Emperor me, you don't have a Whitebeard on board, so
Yeah,
you don't have a big follower swing. So I could take the. I didn't expect the Machino. I
yeah,
thought, oh, you'll put 2 Don on Buggy, you'll swing at me for 5, and I've got counter in hand to survive that.
yeah. Beautiful.
Um,
Yeah, look at. Yeah, that was such a good game. I think this is
it
where
was
I
so
just
good.
stop it off. Yep, stopped it off, and yeah, look, it was so good. Hey, Alex, we had our awesome game there.
Mm.
Absolutely
Were
loved it.
there were there any takeaways for you from doing these best of threes?
Yeah, 100%. Like I got an idea onto how more Magellan can run, um, and more of a because I haven't versed Magellan a lot. I've versed him maybe I think twice against you and once
Mm,
against someone else. So it's like a few times there. I was like, okay, um, like I had like I knew how you ran, but like your style was always different. So
mm.
taking back from what you added in your deck there and in that best of three, it gave me a good kind of like a good open view on how you played with these new cards as well, with your style, your new style as well of how it could run without like say stuff like Douglas Bullet and the big cost Kaidos and stuff like that. So it was really cool to see, and I was like, okay, maybe more on an aggressive approach is where we need to head towards. Like, if we got it, I think that's where we got to go. We got to do more aggressive into Magellan, cause that pressure, make my opponent take life or use cards from hand instead of kind of like sitting back a bit and building board. Um, it can be tough as well with Ace giving your hand if you do stumble across a lot more event cards than you do character cards. So that's where it's like
Yeah,
it's a very hit and miss sort of thing too. So definitely yeah, food for thought. It was a good game. 100%. Like I
mm.
absolutely loved it, and I took that
It was
away.
so fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. I took that away, and same thing for you, man. Like, do you think like getting to play Ace as well? And I think this is time that this you only played Ace against me the first time, right? Like this is
Yeah, so my impression of after playing this is that Ace is a really technical deck, both in
yeah,
the construction, trying to work out exactly what you put in there, and ratios, and because there's so many event cards you can choose from that are decent now.
yeah,
Um, and then the other aspect of it is actually playing it,
mm,
choosing your moments, because I think Ace is a deck where you can quite successfully hold cards for specific situations, but that means you need to understand matchups to know the situations that are important and to identify your moments.
yep,
And I think it's a really interesting red deck. I think it's a really technical red deck. I think it's got a high skill ceiling, but it's one that's going to reward people that practice it.
yep.
And so I'm keen to see where you end up with it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, look, we're struggling. I'm not gonna lie, but
You say
we
that, but then you go 4-1 in a store champs.
Yeah, look, it's definitely a deck I am getting used to, and I have some awesome other ideas in the mix. So yeah,
Can't wait.
yeah. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, thank you very much for joining me tonight, man. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
It
It was
was good
fun
fun.
trying to commentate
Yes, I
or
hope
chat over the top.
I hope everyone enjoyed it. I'm sure they did. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in for it. And if you stayed back this long and hearing us chat about the decks and what we think about them and everything, we really appreciate it. Remember always to subscribe, guys. That always helps us. Jot us down a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you think of the video. Big shout out always to Beyond Odyssey and Eternal Magic, our sponsors there. They do amazing things. And yeah, we're gonna close it off now, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Jim.